Are you looking for another way to add realism to your farms? Well, what about some tram lines? Yeah, the E-DriveLaner by ITS here. It's an awesome mod that's going to allow you to be able to add your tram lines while you're seeding into your farm. There's two places in the store you can find this. The first is going to be under your mods and DLCs. You come down here to the E-DriveLaner, or you could come to the tools section, go to miscellaneous, and go over until you see it right here. It's going to cost you $1,000, and this is going to be for the default version. You can see right here, it looks like it's a tablet, something like that, that's going to mount inside your tractor. Or the compact version is going to cost you an extra $100, and it's like a cell phone. Super tiny. Let's go and get both of these. This is what they show up like whenever you buy them. It's laid flat down just like you saw it, and you've got these holographic arrows right here. Now these arrows, the top ones, are going to need to point in the direction that your tractor is going. All right, so they need to be that way right there. So let's go ahead and grab this beautiful New Holland right here, and we're going to go ahead and hook this up. Now there is a video on the mod hub showing how to hook this up, and it didn't have the weight on here, but I'm going to show you right now. You can still leave your weight and then be able to attach this right here. So it's installed right there in the front of the vehicle, but where is the monitor? Well, it's right about there. I don't know if you can see it right by the exhaust. Here, let me show you from inside the cab. It's actually, see those arrows there? It's right behind all that stuff, right down in there. So the next thing you want to do is go ahead and position this inside your cab. What you need to do is you need to go to the control group number 2 for the E-DriveLaner. Way you're going to do that is go ahead and hit your triangle until you see that show up there over in your help menu. Now you're going to be able to move this monitor around wherever you like. So I'm going to hold down on my R1, and I'm going to go ahead and go left and right on the joystick. You can see that it's rotating it now. And if I go up and down, it's going to move it closer to me. Okay, so how do I get it up and down? Well, I'm going to hold my L1, and I'm just going to go down on my right analog stick. That's going to raise it up, and then if I go left, it's going to move it left. So now it's inside the cab with me, and now I can choose to put this thing anywhere I need to. So what I want to do, I'm going to go ahead and hold my right analog, or my R1, rotate this thing around a little bit. I'm going to go back to L1. Just going to move it up right about in here. All right, so that looks like a pretty good spot. It's not really in the way of anything else I've got going on. And this might be a good option for you to be able to pick the compact one, the little phone looking one. That might be a great option if you don't have a whole lot of extra space going on inside your cabin here. So the next thing we need to do is now go ahead and turn this on. So what I need to do is go ahead and unfold cultivator here in the control group number 2, and that is going to turn it on. I held L1, pressed X, and boom, there we go. So you can see that it says inactive and the holo off right there. So what I want to do now is I want to actually turn on the hologram so I can see exactly where this is at, because we still need to adjust those. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and hold my L1, and then I'm going to press up on the D-pad, and that's going to turn on my hologram. And that's these things right here. You can see the orange one right there in the middle. Let me pull out here a little bit farther so you can see. All right, so you got the orange one right there in the middle, and then you got the 2 green ones back here behind. And it doesn't look like it's actually right in the middle. All right, so now I need to adjust this because it's not right in the middle, right? The holograms are offset just a little bit to the right. They're not really lined up or spaced properly to where this needs to be. So it's pretty simple. Hold your L1 and your R1, and then you're going to be able to go right analog stick, moves these that way. Your left analog stick is going to move the entire thing. So I want this lined up exactly right there. Now, one little trick is you can also press forward, all right, and backwards. Now this is going to be very important here in a little bit once we actually hook up our seeder. But if you're trying to figure out how wide you need to make everything, well, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to bring this in just a little bit more, right? Because I want that right in the middle of where my tires are going to be. Okay, now on this tractor, right, if I was using this one to seed and then I just had regular singles on here, I would put this right in the middle of my tracks. And how do I know where my tracks are? Well, if you look on the ground right there, you can see that I'm very, very close to exactly the middle of that tread. So if I go like this and I come out just a little bit more, you can see that now my green holograms are right in the middle of where those tracks are at. And we are lined up exactly where it needs to be, left to right also. So now what I want to do is go ahead and just start moving this thing backwards, right, and forwards. Yep, we are good. And it looks like it actually went out a little bit more. So let me go ahead and bring this thing back in. As I was doing that, it kind of widened back out. So there we go. We're perfect there. So what I need to do now is go ahead and actually hook up to the piece of equipment that we are going to use. Okay, so now, boom, there we go. Now, I remember I said that you could move these holograms backwards. That's what I want to do. I want to take these holograms, once I get back here on control group number 1, and I want to move them all the way back almost as far as I can. And the reason for this is because this actually acts as a cultivator. All right, now that doesn't look like it's centered up, but let me pull this forward. And yeah, now it's back centered. All right, we're maybe off just a little bit, but I think we're going to be all right. So I've got this here, and I want to keep bringing it back just a little bit farther, because this thing actually acts as an invisible cultivator that after you put the seeds in the ground, right where you see these green holograms at, it's actually going to cultivate the ground when you have it active. Okay, so now I've got my holograms right where they need to be, right behind where the seeder is. I can go ahead and turn them off. And the way I'm going to do that, I'm going to come back here into the cab. All right, and what I want to do is go ahead and close cover once again on control group number 1, holding my L1 and hitting left on my D-pad. Now, if I come back here, you can see that now they are turned off. So absolutely perfect. They're not going to move around anywhere on me. All right, so it's going to be exactly right there where I want it. So let me get some seed in this thing, and I'm going to take you guys over to the field and show you exactly what this is going to do. All right, we are over here in the field now, and as you can see, I've already put down a row of seeds in the ground. And this is important because you don't use this device every single row. You're only going to use it ever so many. And it's really depending on how wide your sprayer is. All right, now the sprayer that I want to use is a 24-meter spreader. And the seeder that I'm using here is actually an 8-meter spreader. So that means that I can have 3 passes of my seeder here for every 1 pass of my sprayer. So what that means is that in the middle pass here, I actually need to put down the tram lines. All right, so let me show you exactly how we're going to turn that on. Let me go back here in the cab, and you can see that it says inactive. So what I need to do is actually go back over here to my control group number 1. I'm going to hold my L1, and I'm going to lower cultivator. All right, now you saw the tractor shake a little bit. You can now see that active is on there where it did say inactive before. So if I come back here, all right, to my rear view, you don't see anything that looks any different. All right, what I want to do, go back to my seeder. I'm going to lower it down, and I'm going to turn it on. Now, what I want to make sure is that on my mini map here, I'm roughly 90 degrees, okay, is where I need to go. I need to be straight with this as much as possible. I am not going to be able to use this with a worker. Unfortunately, this is only a manual operation. All right, workers, they don't realize that this thing is here. All right, so as I start to pull forward, I want you to check out and see exactly how this looks. All right, you can see right here in the middle, okay, I've got a different texture. You can see it right there. Right here in the middle of this, there is no seeds anymore. And the same thing is right here. Okay, so this right here is seed, this is no seed, and this is seed again. Okay, and the same thing here, no seeds and then seeds. So whenever we hop back up in here, all right, we're just going to keep going. I'm going to stay right on that 90 degree as much as I can, all the way until I get to the other end of my field. Now I am overlapping a little bit more than I probably should. I probably should have my what are they called, ridge markers out right now, so that I could just follow that line all the way down. That way, if I did swerve a little bit, I was at least keeping the center of the tractor on that. And I can show you how to use that here in just a second, also on the pass back the other way. But once we get down here to this end, all right, I need to go ahead and turn it off. Right now, if you've got a fence, obviously you can't go any further. They say they don't recommend using this when you're curving, going around corners and stuff. I think it's okay, as long as you understand what is actually happening. Now you can still see the texture change here and here. Okay, so what I need to do now is go ahead and I'm going to actually raise this up. Okay, I'm going to leave it turned on because I like to do that. And then I'm going to go back here to control group number 1. And what I'm going to do is actually lift the cultivator now, because if I don't, everywhere I go with this now, it's going to leave these exact same marks. All right, so what I'm going to do is hit the fence here a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and spin around. I'm going to get lined back up, and then I'm going to go ahead and get this lined up again, and then I'm going to start going. All right, now I can come back here on this end and fix this. That's not a big problem. All right, and there is going to be a little bit of crop if you've got a fence or some boundary or something like this in the way, that it's not going to bring it all the way, because you can see it stopped right about there, right, with the cultivation, and then here it's still going, right? We have regular seed here, so it's not going to give me all the way. If you've got a fence or something like that, a tree, something in the way, if you didn't have those obstacles, you could absolutely go all the way past your edge of your field right here, or you can come back around the outside and make some more passes that way, right? Do your headland last instead of first. So what I'm going to do now, I'm set back on 270 degrees. I'm going to go ahead and go back to my cedar. I'm going to go and lower back down, and we are going to take off. In here, let me show you how to use these ridge markers, all right? So I'm going to hold L1, and I'm going to press up on the D-pad. And you can see this thing over here where the bird's at right now. It's dipped down in the ground, and it's going to give me like a little cultivated state right there. So as I go, you can see that that thing right there is actually giving me a line that when I come back the other way, I'm just going to be able to follow that line. Now you may be wondering, well, how in the world are you going to be able to know when you need to put this down? Well, what you have to do, like I did here, is my fertilizer sprayer is going to be 24 meters, and this cedar is set at 8 meters. So it's every 3 rows, basically once I get going here, that I'm going to need to put this down. Okay, so that over there was row number 1. Okay, now I need to do 2 more spaces, and then I need to put it down again. Okay, because every 3 I'm going to have to do it. So that was pass number 1. This right here is pass number 2. So what I need to do is get back onto my control group number 1. I'm going to hold down on my R1, and I'm going to move right on my analog stick, and now you can see the 1 show up there on the screen. Okay, so this is row number 1 after my tram line, and I'm going to do it on number 3. Okay, I'm going to redo the tram line on number 3. So I'm just going to keep driving here. We're at 270 degrees. I've got my marker out so that when I come back the other way, we are good to go. And one thing that you can also do is you can actually hire a worker on this step right here, because your tram line, it's up, right? You're not actually going to be making one here in this pass. So you could have your worker do this for you. No problem at all. I'm going to come out here. You can see, boom, there's my ridge marker all the way out there. To get this thing switched over to the other side, all I got to do is hit L1 and up on the D-pad, but I actually want to go ahead and raise this thing up first, and then I'm going to go ahead and do that marker, right? You see how the other one came out, but it's not actually going to do anything in the ground right now. So now, whenever I turn around and go back the other way, I'm actually going to be able to follow that ridge marker that was there in the ground with the middle of my tractor, and that's going to give me a really nice gentle overlap. All right, I'm actually going to be off to the side just a little bit here. Okay, instead of directly on it, I want to be just off to the side a little bit, and it's not going to be exactly perfect, but it's going to give you a really good point that you can follow, right? So in my case here, it looks like I really need to be set up with my left tire right over on the side of that. All right, so now this is pass number 2. I need to go ahead and make sure that when I'm on control group number 1, I hold my R1, and then right on my analog stick. That's going to make that a 2 now. This is my second pass. All right, I do not want to put my tram lines down yet, so we're not going to activate them. We're going to leave them inactive. I'm going to go ahead and move back to my seeder, put this down, and I'm going to follow that ridge marker line that I created right there. Now I want it to be just on my tire. You know what I mean? My tire basically is going to follow that. It's kind of almost like in between my tire and the front of the tractor here, but it's going to be a really good guide that I can use to get down the field here and be able to follow a little bit easier, especially if I'm doing all this work myself. Now, I could hire a worker, like I said, between these two passes, or for these two passes right here, but on this third one, I'm going to have to do that manually again, and we're getting ready to do that here as soon as I turn around, and we're going to show you what this is going to look like here once I get this third one here put in the ground. All right, so go ahead and raise this back up. Go back to here. I'm going to go ahead and do the ridge marker again because we're going to be coming back the other way. So I actually need to hit it twice because the first time folded up that side. This one is actually going to put that one out. I'm going to go ahead and back up. We're going to get centered on this right here again. And then we're going to make this third pass that we're actually going to put down the tram lines again. All right. So right about here, I think is going to be good. So once again, right in between the tire and the body of the tractor. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and lower this down. All right, now what I want to do this time is come back to control group number 1. All right, I'm going to come back in the cab, and this is actually going to be pass number 3. So I'm holding my R1, move right on the analog stick, but now I also want to make this active. So in control group number 1, I'm going to hold L1, and I'm going to lower the cultivator. Okay, so that's going to be circle. You can see that it's active again now. I come back out here, and this time I'm going to run the cruise. All right, and if I back up, you can see that we are putting the tram line back down on the ground. So I'm just going to follow this line all the way down here to the other end, and that's going to be my tram lines. I'm going to keep repeating this process all the way across the field, and then we're going to speed up some time, and I'm going to show you guys exactly what this is going to look like once it grows. So one thing I forgot to show you is how to take your counter here, the manual counter, and move it back down to 1. Well, you're going to hold your R1 and move left on your analog stick. That'll take it all the way back down to 0, 1. And if you need to, you've got all the way up to 10 rows that you could do here. Okay, 9, and then it starts back over with 10. So a ton here that you could do if you're using a really narrow seeder or planter and a really wide sprayer. You're definitely going to want to keep that in mind. So right here is where we have the tram lines beginning at. You can see the texture change right here, and then it's plowed or seeded status, and then it's back to like a cultivated status. So what I want to do now is go ahead and speed up time and show you guys exactly what this is going to look like. I went ahead and turned weeds off so they're not going to be in the way here. Let's go ahead and speed up time now. I'm going to go ahead and do this. Now, I've got a mod. I'm a little bit of a cheating mod here. It's 5,000 times speed. We're going to go 25K, and to get this done really, really fast, we're going to go about 3 days here. So you guys can see maybe when this stuff is actually going to start growing. All right, maybe 4. Let's get to some sunny times. All right, right there. So now this is showing up, and you can see exactly where those tram lines are at. If I come over here, you can see that here was row number 2. Now, it didn't do a perfect job creating it here, but it did pretty good here. Now, this isn't going to be perfect because, you know, we're dealing with a very narrow cultivator. And sometimes it doesn't exactly do what it should, because it is kind of going in like big squares with a little bitty tool, if that makes sense. But you can see your tram lines are right in here. So I've got my sprayer out here, and what I want to do is go ahead and show you that I do have crop destruction turned on. All right, so we're just going to go ahead and pull over this tram line right here. You can see, boom, there we go. All right, so what I want to do now is I'm going to go ahead and unfold my sprayer. Now this is going to be 24 meters, and it should get me a little bit farther on the right hand side than where the edge of the field is, or maybe just a little bit shy of it. I think I had to do just a little bit more there, but here on the other side, it's going to be right in the middle. All right, So whenever we zoom out, you can see that we're not quite there on the edge. So if you've got obstacles like I have here, you got to be careful about exactly where you start your field at, right? You may not be able to get all the way out there, or you may have to run over there on that edge. Just be very, very careful not to hit the trees. But you can see we are set up here really, really good. Now, the other thing I want to do is I'm going to come here to my menu, and I want to show you my fertilizer status, okay? So I'm going to turn this on, and this field right here already has nothing, right? So we're going to turn off needs rolling, mulch, and stones, okay? So as I put this down, I'm going to follow this tram line, and then when I come back on the other side and then through the middle, you can see that we are getting the entire field here, and that this is spaced out perfectly. So let's go ahead and turn on the sprayer here. So I'm just going to follow these tram lines. Now we are going to be able to go, what, about 8 miles an hour on this. I am going to kill a little bit of crop, right? But I'm not killing as much as if I wouldn't have done this at all. Like I said, you might have to kind of play around with it a little bit and find really good spots where you're man, and I'm actually taking out some here in the middle too. These tires are not the best for it. Maybe a little bit more narrow tire. It's all about what's going on with the the way that these squares are made. Okay, some of these tires are very, very big, and if you get them kind of like off just a little bit, then it's gonna kill more crops than it needs to. But now you can see I moved over and we're good. So what I'm gonna do now is go ahead and turn. Okay, I'm gonna be making my own little line here. I'm gonna try not to hit that, right? And then I'm gonna turn again here, and I'm gonna get lined up to that one. Okay, so when I turn, we're good. All right, now once again, I am running some BKT tires on this thing, so they are super wide. This is not the best tires to use, and if you're trying to spray and not kill any crops, these things are all about maximum grip and not so much about saving your crops. But you can see if I start to kind of run into an issue where I'm killing crop underneath, I just move over a little bit. You know what I mean? And we're doing good. The right hand side of this, it's not killing any more or stomping down any more crops than what is already not there. You know what I mean? So as I keep coming along here, we're gonna be able to see that I'm gonna join into this one. All right, awesome. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna go ahead and turn. Even though I've got that, I'm gonna pretend like I need another one kind of like right in here. And then we're going to join in to this one. And then I'm going to make it all the way down to the other end. And then you're going to be able to see on the fertilizer map that I've got everything completely fertilized here. We weren't doing any overlapping. You can see right there in the middle. It's exactly where it needs to be. And I'm going to prove that here as soon as I get down here to the other end and then show you this map. All right, so we got it done, and like I said, with the BKTs, we killed a little bit more crop than we needed to, right? But what I'm going to do is go ahead now and show you the fertilizer map, okay? So here it is, and you can see I got everything except for like the little edges, right? Right where I didn't spray because we turned the corner there, but you can see I started back here, came down, went all the way around down here, and then really quickly turned back and came back this way, and we covered every bit of it that we were trying to cover. And this is what it looks like once it's ready to harvest. So as you can see, yeah, we took a little bit more out than we needed to, but I really do feel like it's because of the super wide tires here on the BKTs. If you had something narrower, you're obviously not going to be taking out as much. I mean, we did pretty good right in through here, right? I mean, and look at this. How cool does this look now to have tram lines in your fields? I think that is super, super awesome. Now, I know that you could turn off crop destruction, right? And have an entire field completely full, have none of this tram line stuff going on with it. But if you want the added realism of having the tram lines there, this mod is available 100% for all platforms. All right, console, PC, yes, you guys have some other ways that you could do things also, but console players, PlayStation, Xbox, you are going to be able to use this no problem at all. Hopefully I start seeing some more images of fields that look like this, because I'm definitely going to be using this a little bit more, if nothing else, at least in my regular gameplay series. I'm going to figure out the best tires too, because I feel like we definitely need to be being a little bit more efficient here. Maybe some narrower tires, not super narrows, because then you don't have crop destruction on those. But yeah, I think it's a great mod, absolutely great mod. Another way to add more realism to your game here, and it just looks so cool. I mean, look at this. This is awesome. Now, I probably didn't do this the right way. If you're a real farmer and I did this completely wrong, let me know. Let me know down in the comments below exactly how would you run your fertilizer spray line here.